Press that button, and then I'm there by magic. I'll edit it out. The people that watch this will never know. Nobody watches it anyway, so I'm probably just talking to myself. Oh no, there's 2 of you there that are watching, and you could be anywhere. You could be in Bucharest that you're watching this, or you might just be down the road from me. I really don't know. Anyway, do us a favour. Oh, I'm now joined by 2 more. I've got 4 watching. Drop a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon. You'll be notified of any new content. You know the drill, people. This is just an impromptu little thing. I've finished early from work. It's obviously a good couple of hours before the game is going to take place in Bucharest tonight, 8 p.m. UK time, 10 o'clock in Romania. It's a bit of a late one, it has to be said. But I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, we did the match preview yesterday, Duke and I. We're going to be doing the match review. Normally, we do it on a Friday. We normally do it the day after. But because Duke and I are going to be at the players' event, in fact, I'll give that a plug as well for Ian. It's this one here, E13 Events. It's a strikers evening. If you haven't already got tickets, I believe that there are tickets still available. You can call that number or text on 07958 472847. It's Marlon Harewood, Tony Cottee, David Cross, Trevor Morley, and Brian Deere are the guests, and it is hosted by Mr. Tony Gale. I can recommend this, guys. I've been to a good few of these now. Ian hosts a really good evening. It's a good laugh. It's good value for money, and yeah, you won't go far wrong spending. Put it this way: in this day and age, you can spend 20 quid and get a lot worse value for money than this, let me tell you. There's 6 if you include Mr. Gale as well, the host. 6 members of West Ham's former glory years. And yeah, there you go. I'll be there with Duke tomorrow, and there might be a few others there besides. Now, this. I should have done this at the beginning. Obviously, please, I'll press the button. Here it is. Forge from Iron is proud to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham United fans and friends inspired by the work of other football fan food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations from Newham Food Bank in Beckton, who supply 7 distribution centres in the borough, 7 days a week, and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. They are supported in their efforts by West Ham United Football Club, the WHU Foundation, LS185, London Legacy Development Corporation, Newham Council, the Met Police, Spire London East Hospital, Expedient Security, and a large number of West Ham and football fans. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thank you for your support. Come on, you Irons. Okay, so this is Talk West Ham. I haven't done this for a little while. I'm going to turn my attention to the comments in a minute, but I'm aware that there's a few in there. I've done this before, and I'll put it there. It's a bit risky, but risk and reward, stuff it. Why not? If you want to join us on this stream, if you want to pop in and say hello, and whether you want to sort of talk to me for 5 minutes or maybe a bit longer, I don't know how long this is going to last. If you go to the pinned comments in the section where we've got all the comments on YouTube, you can find the StreamYard link there. So if you want to come on, you can. No problem. Right, let's have a little look here who we've got. Mr. Richard Cox, hope you are well. Duke has a question. Why are you live without me? I just thought I'm going to have a little chat with people, Duke. That's all it was. And I just assumed that you'd be running around like an absolute mad thing at your pub getting prepped for the game tonight when you'll be packed to the rafters, hopefully, with West Ham fans. Listen, if you want to join me, mate, you know how to do it. You've done it long enough, so press a button and you're there. And if you're not, then I'll wish you a good afternoon, my friend, in sunny Lewisham. Well, actually, it's not very sunny. It was quite wet when I was there earlier. Neil from Down Under, hope you are well. 2 a.m. on a Friday morning. Do you ever sleep? Bloody hell. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. No, it is not a hostile removal, Mr. Stribling. It's not a hostile removal. It was just spur of the moment thing, and I've just gone, let's do this. Possibly. We might have to have a little chat about that. He hasn't been dropped. He's been rested. There you go. It's like cannon without ball. You may well say that, but there you go. Duke, honestly, come in, mate. I mean, if you're... Shut up. Shut up. I'm on a strength training. In case anyone's... What's he drinking? I'm back on the whey protein shakes. I used to do powerlifting, believe it or not competitively or anything like that. It was just sort of me competing against me and trying to lift heavier weights and all the rest of it. I'm getting back into it now, but there you go. Chips without cheese. Jesus Christ. Claret and booze. Well, I don't know whether that's is that Gary or is that Nick or is it John? I don't know. Listen, if you want to join us, mate, if you go to the pinned the comment section on YouTube, pinned onto that is the StreamYard link. If you want to join me, I'm just basically gonna ramble on and look, he's got the ump. He's got the ump. The bottom lip's gone out. That's it. He's gone into the corner. He's stamping his feet. Listen, come on, mate. John, hope you are well. Putting in a transfer request, pushing for a move to another channel. Listen, mate. Listen, like I say, go to the... You know how to come in. The door's open. Today's banter or West Ham unofficial. Well, you're going to West Ham unofficial then, aren't you? Let's have it right. But anyway, like I say, guys, if anyone wants to join me, as it says there on the ticker, you've got the link in the pinned comment, so help yourself. Hello, Mr. Walsh. Right, I've just picked the last 3 stories on the One Football website. I'm just going to sort of like chat to you guys and get your opinions on them. Just, why not? As I say, it was a bit of an impromptu thing. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to share it with you. So just bear with me 2 tickaroonies. The wonder of the internet, I can bring it to you like that. And what I'll also do is I'll get rid of my ugly mug and just get rid of that comment from... and get rid of that. Okay. Now, this story here on the One Football app, and this is from the Court Offside website. Liverpool laying the groundwork for a hugely ambitious transfer that could require, quotes, crazy offer. Now, you've probably worked out from who's in the centre of that photograph who this revolves around. Yes, it's our club captain, Mr. Declan Rice, sporting that horrendous third kit, honestly. But there you go. Story goes on and says that Liverpool are reportedly laying the groundwork for an ambitious potential transfer deal for West Ham United midfielder Declan Rice next summer. It goes on to say that the Reds could do with a big investment in midfield, you're telling me, as it looks like Jurgen Klopp needs to start rebuilding, and the likes of Jordan Henderson, James Milner and Thiago Alcantara are now past their best, while the likes of Naby Keita and Alex, get the words out, Alex Oxlade-injured Chamberlain never really delivered as expected. Rice could be the ideal for Liverpool, and Simon Phillips of Chelsea News... What's Chelsea News got to do with a Liverpool story and a West Ham player? I don't know. Quoted via the Anfield talk in the tweet below, has stated that they'll be pushing hard to win the race for the England international signature next summer and have already started laying the groundwork for the deal. This is the tweet here. So I got to be honest with you. I can't see him going to Liverpool. No, don't get me wrong. They're one of the big 6 clubs. They've won a Premier League and a Champions League in recent years. So they're a team that he would be obviously operating at a higher level than what we're operating at. I don't like that fact, but it is a fact. But I just can't see Liverpool being a viable option. I'm not being funny. If you look at all of the comments that have been coming out from Gold and, not so much Gold, but more Sullivan and David Moyes, and they're all intimating that if he's going to go anywhere, it's going to be £100 million plus, or north of £100 million. I heard David Moyes quoted as saying, well, Liverpool don't generally tend to pay big bucks for players, do they? They tend to don't get me wrong, they pay a decent chunk of change, but they're not they're not a team that routinely will blow £100 million on a midfielder or whatever beyond that I suspect it will take to get him out of the door. Not only that, but I'm not even quite sure that Declan Rice himself would be interested, because from how I've understood it, He's obviously, he became a father recently. He's got his other half, and they've got a nice little house in, I believe it's Banstead, but somewhere out there in Surrey. And he's quite settled. He's quite happy living where he is. I don't really see him uprooting and disappearing off to Merseyside. I just don't see it. I mean, I could be reading it wrong. Don't get me wrong. I can completely understand. Liverpool do need some surgery in midfield, but I just don't see him looking at that and going, that's a good fit. But let me know what you guys think. And as I say, if any of you actually want to come onto the stream and join me and bat it back and forth, as I say, go onto YouTube. You'll find the StreamYard link to get into the studio in the pinned comment. So it's an open invitation. If anyone wants to jump on, please feel free. Let's have a little look and see what you're saying in the chat. So I'm quite enjoying being this side of it. Oh no, come on, mate. If you want to jump in, help yourself. You know how to do it. Mr. Bong just says afternoon. There's a little bit of back and forwards between you guys. Mr. Walsh comes in, says no, not there, 100%. As I say, I don't think it makes sense. I don't see that they're going to pay the money, number one, and I don't see that it's going to be something that really interests him. I personally think, look, I've said it before. I think the smart money is he's going to Chelsea in the summer. I don't want him to. I hope he signs a contract, but he's turned down 3 or 4 for whatever reason up to this point. I believe he's got 2 years left in the summer, and that's the point that basically you've either got to cash in, or you're probably just going to sort of say, well, we'll sort of wind his contract down. And from a business point of view, that makes no sense. I mean, he's an asset. So for me, I think that it's unlikely to be Liverpool. But again, like I say, you give me your opinions. I see an opportunity, Duke. Hit the like, you beautiful people. Cheers, mate. But there's no need to shout. No need to shout. So the latter could confirm it. Steady. Behave yourself. Listen, I'll tell you what I'll do, Duke, to make up. If you're still sitting in the corner with your bottom lip out, I'll tell you what I'll do. When we get to the Rusk Club tomorrow, I'll get you a half a shandy and I'll get you a cheese roll. Does that swing the deal, or are you still got the ump? Anyway, Neil, I agree with you, Gatesy. Rice is so much a homebody. I can't see him moving too far from London, which probably means a move back to Chelsea if he does move. But hey, he's still the main man at West Ham. Yeah, he is. He's absolutely the main man at West Ham. But the fact of the matter is the clock's ticking. It's not a fact that I enjoy, but his potential in terms of what he can achieve in the game is higher than us as a club. I don't like to say that, but Declan Rice, this is my opinion. Declan Rice is world class. He is one of the best in his position. Now, you could argue that there's people in his position that may be a notch above at the moment. You could turn around and say Kimmich at Bayern Munich. You could turn around and say Rodri at Man City. Fine, you could argue that point, but there's not too many better central midfield, defensive midfield players in world football, in my view, than Declan Rice. And especially when you look at his age, he's not hit his peak yet. So for me, I think that there's only a certain amount of clubs he's going to go to. Chelsea is potentially one of them. Liverpool, like I say, I suppose if Fenway Sports, the crowd that owns Liverpool, really wanted to push the boat out, they could, but I just don't see it. I don't see it. Declan Rice, as I say, he in the game could literally do anything he wants if he goes to the right club. Unfortunately, we're not. Let's be completely honest. I don't like this, but we're not qualifying for Champions League. We don't have a pedigree of that. We've never qualified for the Champions League. We've never won the English League title, either the Premier League or the First Division when it was. We obviously got close in '86, but that's about it, really. For us, success is winning a League Cup. Let's be completely honest. Well, Declan Rice wants to do more than that. He's on record as saying that. So I got no problem with it, to be honest with you. I just want to see him that when he's pulling on a claret and blue shirt, that he gives his all. And to be honest with you, obviously the beginning of the season, you looked and you thought things weren't right, but he became a dad for the first time, and honestly, that is a stressful thing. But he seems to be back on the right track now, and for me, I'm like, look, so long as it's done in the right way, and we get what is a fair price for him if and when he goes, let's be honest, I got no problem with it. If he goes north, says Walshy, I think it will be City, but Chelsea scumbags are probably the only option for him. Yeah, I again, I City again. I don't really see him going north at all. I really don't. Whether it's City, whether it's Liverpool, I think that he would like to go. I think he would like to stay in London. Well, that basically limits his choice to one of three clubs, and that's either Tottenham. Well, that's not happening. Let's be honest. I think Golden Sullivan, on a point of principle, would rather let his contract wind down than sell Declan Rice to Daniel Levy. Arsenal, I can't see it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, they're up the top end of the table. I don't think they're going to win the Premier League, but I think that they're going to be there or thereabouts when it comes to the business end. Mikel Arteta has done a really good job there, but I don't see him going to Arsenal. Again, they're not really a club that will push the boat out and splash the cash. So I don't really see that he's going to Arsenal, which leaves Chelsea, which is obviously the club that we got him from when he was released at the age of 14, I think it was. And it's the club that we all know he supported as a kid growing up. So I think it's probably going to be Chelsea, but let me know what you think. I know talent when I see it. If you say so, Jake. The world panicked when you woke up this morning. Why did you sort of trip over and was that the reason why there was an earthquake in Bucharest? Did you hear about that? I don't know. Don't know if you might not be aware of this. There was apparently an earthquake in Bucharest. I kid you not. Charlie, who's a friend of the channel, Charlie Woodgate, he is on a West Ham fans group chat that I'm on, and he sent me a message this morning, and it said that there was a magnitude 5.5 earthquake, and it affected Bulgaria, Moldova, Romania, Serbia, and Ukraine. And yeah, so he's out there, and there was a bloody earthquake. Well, hopefully we can create an earthquake in the game tonight and get the 3 points and move on into the last 16 with a 100% record, which will be the first time it's happened in this competition. Now, all right, this competition's only 2 years old, but you know what? We'll take it. Anyway, let's have a look at this next story that I've got lined up. And again, you guys can... How's this? Still waiting for my invite to that WhatsApp, to be honest. It's got nothing to do with me. That's not my realm, mate. That's down to two other people. And I did make an inquiry. I don't know. Lovely. I saw that. Which fan opened his or her wallet then? Was it no, Charlie was asleep. It wouldn't have been Charlie, mind you. Right. Let's move on. Next story I want to get into. As I say, I've just chosen the first three stories that I came to on the One Football website. So this is the one, the latest on Lucas Paqueta's injury return date at London Stadium. Now, this is from Give Me Sport, and just to wind down, it says that we will be hoping that attacking midfielder Lucas Paqueta can play some part before the World Cup, according to Sky Sports reporter Dharmesh Sheth. Well, he's not involved in the squad tonight, and there's only 3 matches in all competitions left before we break for the World Cup, that being the 2 Premier Leagues matches against Crystal Palace and Leicester City, and obviously the Blackburn Rovers League Cup tie. So he needs to get a move on. The 25-year-old has been sidelined with a shoulder injury for the Hammers' last 4 fixtures in all competitions, but could be set to make an imminent return to the matchday squad. Paqueta joined West Ham towards the back end of the summer transfer window in a club record 51 million. Yeah, we know that. Brazil international signed a 5-year contract, option of a further 12 months, 150k a year, a week. appears to be finding his feet in new surroundings before picking up a fitness complaint. Yes, he did. He did appear to be getting to grips with the Premier League, it has to be said, which was really annoying when he got the injury. He got assists against both Anderlecht and Fulham, which showed glimpses of what he's capable of. He also, in the game, he got injured against Southampton from memory. He had a header that hit the post, didn't he? Now, and it also says that we've struggled to create in his absence. We've scored 3 goals in those 4 games. But he was only expected to be sidelined for 2 weeks when he picked up the issue, meaning his comeback shouldn't be too far away. And we scroll down, and this is quoted from Dharmesh Sheth of Sky Sports. He says that it has been a bit of a blow to have lost him. I'm sure that there was conflicting reports on how long he was going to be out for. The latest prognosis is that he should be available for the World Cup at the very least. West Ham, I'm sure, will be hoping that he can play some part before that World Cup break. Now, I've got to be honest with you. I think that we need to get him back sooner rather than later. For me, I kind of touched on this yesterday on the match preview for FCSB. I think that without Paqueta, Scamacca's performances I wouldn't say they completely bombed, but he looks an awful lot more isolated up front. I don't know whether you guys agree with that statement, but he just looks, when he had Paqueta, just sort of like he would be buzzing around and he'd be quite close to where Scamacca would be by and large. And in those 4 games, he seems to have been completely isolated. And I don't know about you, but his body language looks like he's beginning to get a little bit pissed off with the situation. As I say, I might be misreading that. And again, if you've got an opinion on that, you've got the comment section. Or if you want, go into the comment section on YouTube at the top in the pinned comments. You've got the StreamYard link. You can jump on it, come into the studio and join me and chat. But, I'm getting lonely here. I'm getting stir crazy. So, but yeah, I think that Scamacca is better with Paqueta in the team, and that is how it's pronounced, Duke. Paqueta, Paqueta. You say potato, I say potato. But there you go. I don't know. You butcher every language. I've heard you having a go at French. It's awful, and it is Paqueta. I had that on good authority. Hang on, what are you laughing at? A fake condom. Interesting. Scamacca. Okay. Well done. Come on and join me, you silly sod. Anyway, I'm getting lonely, so I'm talking to myself now. I thought someone might have been brave enough to come on and join me. As I say, I've put the link in the comment section on YouTube. Are we still going with pronunciations? Jesus Christ. But no, I'm glad to hear that he's going to be, we'll call him Lucas then. Just if you want to say Paqueta, if you want to say Paqueta, whatever, we'll call him Lucas. Solves a lot of aggravation. Let's call him Lucas. Okay? When Lucas comes back, I don't know whether he's going to be used in the League Cup game against Blackburn, to be honest with you. I'd love to see him involved against Palace. And just to slightly diverge, I mean, we had a few people in the live chat. I think I remember Hammers89 mentioned it a couple of times. He was sort of like saying about what would be your minimum requirement in terms of the 2 games, Palace and Leicester. For me, it's 4 points. I think anything less than 4 points over those 2 games, I think at that point, going into the World Cup, I think that you're going to have questions asked of the manager. Now, whether I think that's right or whether I think that's wrong is irrelevant. I think that it's natural. I think if we won 1 and lost 1, not good. I think if we could at least come through both games getting a win and a draw, whichever way it comes, whether it's beating Palace or beating Leicester, whatever. But if we can come through those two matches, winning 1 and getting a point in the other, 4 points out of 6, I think that would be a good outcome. I think anything other than that, less than that, Not for me. I think that at that point, there's going to be some noises. There's going to be some rumblings of discontent. I mean, there already is. There already is. I got to be honest with you. One thing that I probably didn't, because obviously I went to the Manchester United game on Sunday at Old Trafford. The one thing I will say is that the fans that go to the away games, they are behind the team. They are 100% behind the team. That game on Sunday, we should have got at least something out of it. And after the game had finished and the players came over, they clapped the fans clapped them. During the game, we were singing, we've got Super David Moyes, Claret and Blue Army. So the away fans are with the team. The away fans are with David Moyes at the moment. They are giving the support. It's not like it's all doom and gloom and we're booing and all the rest of it. We're behind them at the minute, or the away fans are behind them at the minute. My concern would be that if we lost against Palace, if the doomsday scenario happened and we actually lost both games, oh my goodness, I would dread to think what the atmosphere would be like at the final whistle against Leicester if we lost both games at home with 62,000 West Ham fans in, two matches, 2 defeats. That I think could be that would be really bad. That would be really bad, because I think then the people that currently are advocating Moyes out, and I'm not, but I can understand why these people are advocating it. So it's not like I sit there and go, I don't understand this. I understand it. I just don't agree with it at this moment in time. If we were to, for the purposes of a discussion, lose both of them, then at that point I might rethink my stance on David Moyes. Right now I'm Moyes in, but things need to improve. Things do definitely need to improve. Loken said you're making him sound like a Brazilian pirate. Well, maybe he is, Duke. Maybe he is. Maybe he's. If you look into his lineage, maybe you'll find that he came to Brazil from Portugal on some ship. Maybe his forefathers were Brazilian pirates. I don't know. Maybe he likes parrots. I don't know. A vegetarian Big Mac? Oof. Vegetarian anything? No thanks. You're still doing the pronunciations. Honestly, terrible. Mr. Walsh says he hopes Lucas plays in both Premier League games. I do as well. I hope that he's back against Palace. I'll keep my fingers crossed that he is. I think that his inclusion will be key for me. And again, I'm probably going to go early here, because we're probably going to have to cover a lot of this in the match preview for the Palace game. But there are, and I think you can probably work it out. I won't give too much away, but I think there's two players from the starting lineup against Manchester United, at least 2 players that need to be dropped, in my opinion. And they're 2 players that, in my opinion, needed to be dropped a little while ago. And you probably know who they are, and you're probably screaming the names, or at least whispering them in your head, whatever. There's 2 players that need to be dropped from the starting lineup for the Manchester United game, in my opinion, when we play Crystal Palace. Whether they will or not, I'm not entirely sure, because I think one of them is probably his brother, his son-in-law or something at least, but I don't know. That would be like Burnley at home with the discontent. Yeah, if we lost them both, mate, honestly, that would be... I mean, that game against Burnley where we got beat 3-0 and all the protests that were going on, it was just below me and to the right. It was going mental. And that was not a good situation. That was pretty bloody awful, to be honest with you. If we lost both games, I do wonder whether David Moyes would survive. I'll be completely honest. I do wonder whether he would survive. Again, whether I think he should or shouldn't, I guess it depends upon the nature of the defeat. But a defeat's a defeat. You know what I mean? You could batter the opposition, but fundamentally, you got to put the ball in the back of the net. And we haven't been doing that. And here's something. And this is probably going to be a question that I'm going to ask tomorrow. because the strikers event, I do wonder, do we need a striker coach? Do we need someone literally just to work with the offensive players on doing what is, on one sense, the most simple thing in football, in another sense, the most difficult, and it's putting the ball in the back of the net? Because we've been awful. Our conversion rate this season has been absolutely shocking. We're creating chances, don't get me wrong. It's not the creating of the chances that's the problem. It's that once we've got a chance, it's putting it past the goalkeeper and into the back of the net. Too often, we'll put the shot and it's too close to the goalkeeper, or we'll take one step too many and we don't get the shot away in time because the defenders got back to clear it, or something like that. And it's like, the amount of times I'm just going, just pull the fucking trigger, seriously. But I'd like to see us get in a forwards coach, if I'm being honest, someone to work with the strikers, because it's just not working at the minute. If he turns up on Sunday with an eye patch and a parrot in his shoulder, then I'm done. All right, mate. Fair enough. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Doug, hope you are well. If again, invite open to you, as it says there in the ticker. If you go onto YouTube, in the comment section, pinned at the top, there's a StreamYard link. If you want to come on and join us, we'll have a chat. Other than that, he's put a comment in here that says, "Where are your struggles this season?" Well, I've just touched on it there. It's scoring goals, mate. Defensively, if you look at our goals conceded column, it's actually not too bad. Defensively, we're pretty strong. It's converting the chances. As I say, we are creating chances. We are. It's just that we're not converting a good enough ratio of them to mean that we're gonna. I mean, look, you're a Liverpool fan. You saw the game against you guys, and we was poor in the first half, and in the second half we started to come into it. I think we had 3 shots on target from memory. One was the penalty, which Bowen obviously had saved from Alisson. There was a half chance from Ben Rama, and then what was the other one? There was the block from Souček, or the shot from Souček, block from Milner. And I think they were the only 3 shots that we registered on target. But we need to convert. We need to convert the chances. That's where our problem is. For whatever reason, we've not scored enough goals. Now, I would like to see against Crystal Palace, I'd like to see Scamacca and Antonio playing. Now, whether you play 4-4-2 or 3-5-2, play the both of them as strikers, or whether you play Antonio as a wide player in a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, or I don't know. But I would love to see those two playing off one another, He's not a target man, Scamacca, but he's the more physically imposing of the two in terms of their height. Antonio is the shorter of the two, but you can't call him small. I mean, look at the size of him. He's like a bull. But he would be buzzing around. I think it could be a really good partnership if we could get them two on the pitch for a decent amount of the match. I think that we could do things. We could do things, but I don't know whether Moyes is going to do it. I think Noble is a big miss in and around the club. Yeah, I mean, it won't be long. I mean, what is it now? 2 months? 2 months until he walks through the door. I dare say he's probably already doing little bits and pieces on the side. He's probably sort of talking to certain people. I'm sure there'll be conversations between Mark Noble and David Moyes that have been going on for a little while. Probably, oh God, up yours. Yeah, I'd imagine Noble's already been having conversations with David Moyes, with David Sullivan, with David Gold, with Karen Brady. I'm sure that the phones, the lines of communication have already been going back and forth. Ken, in fact, you are actually involved in this next story that I'm going to touch on, but I'll get to that in a minute, so sit tight. But this next one might interest you when I get onto it. Jermaine Defoe was the answer to come in as coach, but now Spurs, maybe Dean Ashton might be a shout. That's the guy I was really thinking of, to be honest, Neil and Ken. I was I was thinking about Tony Cottee. But as I say, the interview that we did with Tony Cottee the other day, I did get the distinct impression that I don't think the relationship between Cottee and probably David Sullivan is terribly a good relationship, because Tony was saying about he's offered help, I'll help you do this, I'll help you do that. And they've just, no, thanks, we're okay, just go away. What Tony Cottee knows about putting the ball in the back of the net, he's probably forgotten more about goal scoring than a lot of these people would ever know. But there you go. Right. Okay. So, Ken, this is the story that I think might be of interest to you. Bear with. Yeah. Hang on. No. Hold on just a minute. Right. There we go. Right. So, now, we had a little chat, didn't we? Outside Old Trafford, you and I. The subject of right backs came up. Well, this is saying, it says it here, a 23-year-old winger. But if we scroll down, as I say, this is caught offside. He's keen, by the looks of this, on this player here. Now, you probably recognise him, Kent. At least I hope you do, because this is the player that you said you would get in as a right back, Isaiah Jones of Middlesbrough. Now, I'll be honest with you, chaps. I don't know too much about this fella. I don't. But Kent knows his Championship football, and when I said to Kent outside Old Trafford the other day about right backs, this was the first name out of his mouth. Now, that's fine. The only thing that worries me is that possibly indicative of the fact that they know that there's no chance that Harrison Ashby's going to stay? I'm a big Harrison Ashby fan. Now, he's in the squad for tonight. Now, ideally, what I would like would be for, hopefully, David Moyes plays him tonight. Okay? David Moyes plays Harrison Ashby tonight, and that Harrison Ashby grabs that opportunity, and David Moyes, hopefully, off of the back of it, would turn around and go, right, we've got a player that can play right back. He can also, Harrison Ashby, if we wanted to play a right wing back, I'll tell you now, Harrison Ashby could do that. Not a problem. Kufau is not a right wing back. Johnson is not a right wing back. Kera's not a right wing back. So they can play right back, and you could argue whether they're good enough and what traits they have, good, bad, indifferent, in this, that, and the other. But I believe that Harrison Ashby is the answer. I really do. And it really is annoying to hear that Newcastle are sniffing around, and I think Leeds United as well. I want to see us turn around to Harrison Ashby and say, you are our future right back. In fact, you are right. If I was David Moyes, I'd be saying to him, you're my right back now. You are my right back now. Have a little bit of faith in him, play him in the team, and who knows, maybe he might sit there and go, I've got a future at this club. I've got a manager that believes in me. I've got the fans that I've got a good relationship with. Why would I want to go somewhere else and have to start all over again? And it might work out, it might not, especially if he goes to Newcastle, because they've got so much money. They can spend £50 million on a right back that competes with him, and then he's probably not going to play. So let's try and put an arm around him. Let's try and keep him. Do I think that will happen? I do have my doubts, because when I look at David Moyes and I sort of go, well, this is a guy that let Sonny Perkins walk out the door. This is a guy that, there's multiple examples of players that he's moved on, youth players that have shown promise and they've moved on. And I do wonder whether they were given a fair crack of the whip. Now, but Harrison Ashby, I want him to start. But if they know that he's not going to go, then this is apparently the guy that David Moyes wants, Isaiah Jones. But another player that, and again, Kent mentioned this fella, Wan-Bissaka. Good player. I would prefer Ashby, honestly, Kent. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Personally, like I say, I'm a big Harrison Ashby fan, and if he goes, which is looking more likely, I'm keeping my fingers crossed he starts tonight. I think we hear the lineups about 6:30. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that he is in the starting 11. Because I think if he's in the starting 11 and he plays well, then I just keep my fingers crossed that David Moyes might wise up and think, this guy I need to keep around. Because we've had problems at right back this season. Kufau hasn't cut it. Johnson hasn't cut it. Kehrer, bit hit and miss for me. One game he looks sensational, but he's always got a bit of a rick in him, and then the next game he doesn't quite look so good. So he's been very sort of hit and miss, up and down for me. Harrison Ashby could be the key. He really could be the key. But we'll see whether David Moyes is going to go along with that. But Kent goes on to say, if Jones comes in, I think a 3-5-2 or a 5-3-2 is the way I think we will go. Right. If it's David Moyes, it'll be a 5-3-2, won't it? You know, there is a fundamental difference between 5-3-2 and 3-5-2. We played 3-5-2 under Harry, as I'm sure you'll remember. And we had, as the right wing back for a lot of that, we had Trevor Sinclair. Now, Trevor Sinclair wasn't a fullback. Trevor Sinclair was a winger. He was the right wing back. So fundamentally, it was a 3-5-2. David Moyes, when he plays three at the back, the guys that tend to be wide tend to be fullbacks. So it's a 5-3-2. It's, you know, people say it's three at the back. It's not. It's definitely five. It's 100% 5-3-2. Trini's in there. Hello, mate. Hope you're well. Good shout, Kent Hammers. As Irons, we realise that Wan-Bissaka's strengths are defending and not attacking. And fundamentally, that's what you want in a defender. You do want that in a defender. My only thing, and Kent's actually gone on to say it there. My only thing is that I'm not quite sure how he would shape up as a right wing back, because I think we're going to need someone that can cover the two positions with equal. What's the word I'm looking for? Basically, with an equal footing. You know, in terms of their capabilities. I don't want someone that is just, and I don't think David Moyes wants to get someone like that. Generally, he gets someone with a bit of versatility, couple of strings to their bow. But I don't know how Wan-Bissaka would shape up as a right wing back. I mean, you obviously think he could. He was a right midfield before he converted. That is true. Maybe he could do it. I don't know. I really don't know, mate. But I like to say, Harrison Ashby's the one for me. In fact, Mr. Walsh, you have just come in with a comment. He says, I do feel sorry for Ashby. There must be conversations, but it sounds like he doesn't like what he's hearing. Seems to hearing it more and more of our youth system. And that is the worry. That is the worry. Like I say, I touched on Sonny Perkins. He felt that his career path was better served elsewhere. Harrison Ashby, reading between the lines, is thinking a similar thing. And we've got, as I say, and I've said this before, we've got that thing on the carpet, the Academy of Football, and Kent will back me up. That's a little bit of a bullshit tag that we've got now. We don't live up to it. You know, we've brought Declan Rice through. Okay, great. Well done. Other than that, who have we brought through? That's actually come into the first team and played 50 league games. Ben Johnson, okay, yeah. But even him, I think the jury's still out on him. I don't think that, you could turn around and say that he's a nailed on first pick for the starting 11. So I want to see us get back to producing our own talent and getting a decent sprinkling of our own youth products coming through from the youth grade teams into the first team. That's what we always used to do. I mean, we haven't got the money to compete with the Arsenals, the Chelseas, the Liverpools, the Tottenhams, and the Newcastles. So we need to find another way of doing things. And that's the way to do it for me. But like I say, I think that Moyes does need to show these kids that we've got in the youth team coming through, that there is a pathway, but it doesn't look like he is to me. I mean, I'm not seeing any evidence of it. But there you go. Duke comes back in. Speaking to someone in the know, Wan-Bissaka only looks good because his pace rectifies the problem he creates for himself by being out of position. That sounds a little bit like the fella at Liverpool, doesn't it? Mr. Alexander-Arnold. 3-5-2, glass half full. 5-3-2, glass half empty. Yeah, exactly that. I mean, they're similar formations, but they are fundamentally different. And for me, if you're going to play wing backs, then it's a 3-5-2, not a 5-3-2. If you're playing 5 at the back, then they're not wing backs, they're full backs. There's a difference. Peter comes in and says Sonny Perkins won't break into the Leeds first team any quicker. Well, he obviously thinks he will. Otherwise, he'd have stayed put. But there you go. We'll find out in time. Trini Hammer says, this is a very serious flaw for a manager to have. Even City and Liverpool regularly bring youngsters. Yes, exactly. Exactly right. The Academy of Football term shouldn't be used at this moment in time. Not been worthy since '99. Rice, Collison, Tompkins in the last 15 years. Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I say, yes, you could turn around and say Ben Johnson, but again, like I say, has he ever really nailed down a starting berth in the team? He's come in, he's had good games, he's had moments. I mean, I remember when he got that goal away at Villa Park last season. That was around the time when I think that you were looking at him and thinking, aha, now he's starting to come good. But then he's dropped away again. And like I say, I don't know whether he can be really put in sort of like the same bracket as Declan Rice or Jack Collison. I mean, Jack Collison got, he didn't play the games he should have done simply because of injury. No other reason. Tompkins, I think he got over 200 games in the first team from memory. But yeah, Ben Johnson, like I say, jury's out for me on him. Walshy says, we haven't had that type of youth system since Ferdinand Cole Carrick days, to be fair. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, like Kent says, 1999, that was when we won the FA Youth Cup final. We beat Coventry 9-0 in the second leg. I think it was it 9-0 or 6-0? Whatever it was. I think it was 6-0 and it was a 9-0 aggregate. But we battered them that night. I was there, and that was a cracking team, and obviously it had Cole, it had Carrick, Stephen Bywater, whatever you think of him as a goalkeeper. He did well enough for us. Adam Newton. There was plenty of players there that went on. Maybe not all of them at West Ham, but we got a fair crop out of that. And obviously before that, we had the likes of Lampard Jr., we had Ferdinand and all that. But we haven't got that reputation anymore for whatever reason. I don't know why. The kid who thought he was Billy Big Bollocks and went off to Watford has struggled to get games there. Yeah, you're on about Jeremy Ngakia. Yeah, that was a weird one because he was essentially fourth choice right back. And I think from what I understand of the situation is I think he was going to be released at the end of the season. And then through a series of circumstances, I think it was injuries to Zabaleta, Fredericks and Johnson at the time that basically forced David Moyes to give him a start. I think it was against Liverpool, wasn't it? He obviously came in, he grabbed his opportunity with both hands, but of course by that time his contract had like a couple of months to run, and it's like, well, he probably sat there and thought, well, if that hadn't happened, you were going to fuck me off out the door. So not an awful lot has changed. Yes, I've got an opportunity, but I mean, I can see it from the player's point of view, to be honest. Trini comes in, says, to be honest, I don't get all this right wing back and right back. Back in the day, the fullback did the overlapping and crossing, but also well defended. I mean, the game's obviously changed, Trini. I mean, funny, it's the same game, but it's there's different things that sort of come into play nowadays, different formations and such like. Peter comes in. Ben Johnson has become a scapegoat, but he has been moved around in several positions. Will end up going somewhere where we play the same position every week and do well. Yeah, and Kent says a similar thing. His versatility. I mean, I still don't know what is his best position. Is it right back? Is it right-sided centre back in a 3? Is it left back? Is it defensive mid? I don't know. I think probably I think probably right back is the position he probably wants to play. But there's a part of me that would like to see him at left back, because I remember the game he played at Lyon, and I thought he had a really good game there. And I did wonder whether he could be the heir apparent to Aaron Cresswell. But obviously, Mr. Moyes thinks that Mr. Emerson is a better bet. I'm not so sure myself, but he's the boss. So there you go. Neil from Down Under, even the players we all thought were big bollocks, as in Dean Garner, isn't doing that much these days either. And then you've also got Reece Oxford. Reece Oxford's another one, I suppose you could turn around. And going back a little bit further, remember Ravel Morrison? I know we didn't bring him through, but he was another one that thought that he was bigger than was actually the case. Peter says, once agents start asking for silly money for kids, it usually ends in tears. That is indeed true. James comes in, to be fair, chucking one or two youngsters on when they're surrounded by world-class players is a bit different, especially when they're 2 or 3-0 up at the time. Fair enough. Trini comes back and says, if you ask me, players are pampered. They are arguably better athletes, but want to work less, don't get it. Again, what? ITK said that Oxford had the better talent. Yes, he had the better talent, as you've obviously said on a couple of occasions. Reece Oxford, talent-wise, was better than Declan Rice. Yes, there you go. But lacked the application, lacked the desire. Yes, there you go. Lacked the desire, lacked the work ethic that Declan Rice had to make the very best of his ability. So there you go. Peter comes in. Morrison had more chances than there are games of Monopoly. He is already, I think how old is he now? Ravel Morrison, was he 27, 28? And he's already had more clubs than bloody Tiger Woods. In fact, I tell you what, I'm going to have a little look, because I last I heard, wasn't he at Sheffield United? Or no, Derby County, wasn't it? He was at. I don't know if he's still there. I've got literally no idea. Here he is, 29 years of age. He's at DC United. Jesus. Look at this list of teams. Manchester United, West Ham. He then had loan spells at West Ham while he was at West Ham with Birmingham City, Queen's Park Rangers and Cardiff City. We then get rid of him to Lazio. He then has a loan spell at QPR and Atlas. He then gets signed by Östersund, and then he goes to Sheffield United. Whilst he's at Sheffield United, he has a loan spell at Middlesbrough. Then he gets shipped off to ADO Den Haag. Then he goes to Derby. And then he goes to DC United. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 teams that he has got in his career at the age of 29. Bloody hell. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Yeah, madness. Absolute madness. I didn't realise he was playing stateside. He'll probably do well there for a period of time, and then it'll go tits up with him. There'll be something that will happen. He'll get homesick. I mean, I'm looking here. He's had 14 appearances in Major League Soccer and 2 goals. But it's going to go tits up with him. He'll have a wobble. He'll sort of get the ump over something, and that'll be him on the next plane back to Manchester or whatever. Peter comes in. Morrison's had so many hangers on, bleeding him dry and thinking he'd made it. Yeah, no, I don't disagree. He's probably a football version of Mike Tyson, if you will. I mean, he had this huge entourage, and eventually, when all the money had gone, they all disappeared. Funny that. And he says 100% kids need proper grounding and not given everything on a plate. Yes, absolutely. And Duke agrees with that. Scrap Premier League 2 while we're at it. Do you know what? I agree, Duke. The old reserve team football, for me, I think worked quite well. I think it was better. I don't really see that playing this under 21s, under 23s football really works. That's just my opinion. But playing at Rooney's team. Yes, I'd just say I didn't realise that, Kent. I've literally just looked on Wikipedia and I was quite shocked to see that. I wasn't sure if he was still at Derby or whatever. But then again, I suppose, obviously, Rooney would have known Ravel Morrison from their time at Manchester United, I'm guessing. Then, obviously, he had him as a player at Derby. and he's now took him stateside. So good luck to him. Peter comes in, says, Brentford seem to do okay with a B team instead of under 21s. Exactly. They scrapped their under 21s, didn't they? They got rid of it and they seem to have found a way to continue to function. Trini Hammers, I think also with all the money in the game, why there cannot be a truly competitive competition for players not in the first squad. Yeah, and as I say, reserve team football, and the other way you can deal with it is getting the kids out on loan, as Duke says there, Deepdale, Portman Road, and wherever. Bring back the Ovendon Papers League, says Mr. Walsh. Right, I've been going for 56 minutes. I'm quite disappointed no one saw fit to jump on and join me. It's just a little, I thought I'll put it in, if someone wants to come and join me. Duke didn't even join me. Bastard. You know who your mates are. I thought he'd come on and join me, but he'll put a comment in a minute slagging me off and calling me rude words or something like that. But the old football combination was good enough. Yes, exactly. Okay. Well, switch off then. Switch off. I didn't force you to watch me, miserable git. Kent Hammers comes in, says, bring back reserves, the kicking, the bullying by the big centre-back. Imagine Mick Harford against the centre-back today. Oh, I tell you what, if you've been drinking, that makes it funnier because you can come on, you can talk bollocks and stumble your words. So, no, it's fine, Doug. Don't worry. Not a problem, mate. Don't worry about it. As I say, I've completely done this. I wasn't planning it. I've walked through the door at a reasonable time from work and I thought, I just fancy a chat. So I thought I'll get the first 3 stories that I see on the One Football website. I'll bat it along with the guys in the chat and then we'll have a little chat. And if someone wanted to come on and join me, but they didn't. Yeah, exactly, Duke. Exactly. I mean, you know how to jump in. I mean, you don't need the link because you can come in. You've got special access. You've got the key. Same as me. But there you go. Right. Okay. 57 minutes and X amount of seconds. I am going to disappear. Before I do, guys, do us a favor, because as I look on YouTube, I can discover that we have got 10 likes. Now, there are 27 of you watching, so kindly do me a favor. And if you're not watching this on YouTube, could you go across to YouTube and just click on the like button? You'd be surprised, for you guys that don't have a YouTube channel, you would be absolutely surprised how much that little simple thing of clicking that thumb does as far as this is concerned. Also, if you haven't, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon. And as and when we do anything, whether it's live or whether we upload anything to the channel, then you'll know all about it. Special access sounds rude. Well, that's only because you've got a filthy mind. Take care, Walshy. Hope you are well. Oh, we've got 11 likes now, have we? Well, we've got 25 watching. Come on. Get yourselves 18. I'm looking. It says 18 on YouTube. I'm not leaving until we get at least 20. So I need 2 more. That's 19. So there's 28 if you're watching. Come on. 1 more, at least. I mean, it'd be quite nice if I could get all 28 of you that are watching to like it. James says, yeah, the old football combination was a far better experience for youngsters for sure. Yep. I'm looking. Oh, we've got 20. All right. Okay. I'm now gonna bugger off. But guys, as I say, thank you very much for joining me. Before I go, I am going to play my little promotion for our friends at Iron Supporting Food Bank. Please don't forget about them. Forged from Iron is proud to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham United fans and friends inspired by the work of other football fan food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations from Newham Food Bank in Beckton, who supply 7 distribution centres in the borough, 7 days a week, and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. They are supported in their efforts by West Ham United Football Club, the WHU Foundation, LS185, London Legacy Development Corporation, Newham Council, the Met Police, Spire London East Hospital, Expedient Security, and a large number of West Ham and football fans. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thank you for your support. Come on, you Irons. Thanks for joining us, guys, and stay safe. Enjoy yourself. Have a nice cold beverage as you're watching the football from Bucharest tonight. Hopefully a win for West Ham, but let's be honest, the result's not really that important. It's Palace on Sunday that's the one that's really important. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me. Stay safe. Enjoy the match tonight. Come on, you Irons.